Justin, good morning. Hi.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good. So we've been having a lot of very difficult discussions during this time with dealing with COVID and managing our company. So we just thought, you know what, why don't we we've been doing this every day, like why don't we just be open and talking about it to everybody else, because we feel like this is the real estate industry and everyone's kind of having the same ethical dilemmas or questions or not knowing what to do. And so we just thought it would be better just to have a conversation with everyone about it and kind of tell everybody what's going on for us and seeing what's going on for them. And maybe we can idea share and get some great um, ideas going. So for those of you who maybe not familiar with Spade and Nurture, this is our founder, Justin Reardon. Hi. I
Hi.
do marketing at Spade and Nurture. My name is Kelly Ballinger. If we've never met, nice to meet you as well. So, Justin, let's talk about a little bit about, first of all, we have three locations, Seattle, Los Angeles, and Portland. What is happening in all of these offices in terms of like regulations and essential and not essential?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting because we operate in three different states, and the federal government has done very little in terms of regulating how businesses are to run or not to run. And so it's been left up to the states to make those designations for businesses on if you are essential or not essential. And in dealing with all three states, we've kind of been through the ringer trying to understand if we're supposed to be working or not. Because on the surface, if you look at home staging, you're like, all you do is make houses pretty, big deal, who cares? But if you dig down a little bit deeper into what home staging does, if we have a house that is already staged, that is closing, and our furniture is in that house, and the next person who's buying that house needs to move into it so that they can shelter in their residence during the COVID-19 pandemic, and our furniture is in the way, all of a sudden we become essential in that we have to get our furniture out of the way so these people can move into their houses. And so we start facing this moral dilemma there where we're like, well, you're not really important, but are you essential? When you look at something like a grocery store or an emergency plumber, clearly essential. But that's really easy to define if you're saying like, okay, it's a 24-hour period or it's a 1-week period or it's a 3-day period. But when you start getting into things where you're like, okay, this is going to be a 1 month or a 2 month or a 3 month period, and my arms are really wide out here, more of a conversation of what is really essential. And the state of Oregon, I think, actually did the cleanest job in preparing businesses to answer the question if they should be working or not. The state of Oregon did not say, these are essential businesses, plumbers, mechanics, grocery stores. They didn't do that. They said, if you do this type of work, you can't operate. And the type of work essentially was massive amounts of public facing activities. So if you're in an arena or you are a restaurant where people sit down in large groups, if you cannot provide social distancing for their people, then you cannot operate. But if you can operate your business and you can maintain social distancing through things like what we're doing right now with Zoom, or if you can keep your people more than 6 feet away from each other while they are working, and you are not public facing, and let's just say and you don't fall under a certain step of a restaurant or a grocery store, then you can continue to operate. And so if you go to the state of Oregon's website, there's a little questionnaire that's like a type form where you answer a couple little questions and it pops out the answer is if you should be operated or not. It doesn't ask you what you do. It asks you if you fall into certain categories and how you operate your business. It's really smart. It's really intelligent. It's been really good. The state of California has been pretty non-responsive at this point. So they basically said, if you're essential, like if you're a restaurant that serves takeout, if you're a grocery store, if you're a plumber, you can operate businesses, events venue. There was a couple other things that were on there that were like really, really specific. Then you should not operate at all. And if you're one of the 17 million other types of businesses, make a good decision. And that's been about it. So it's very amorphous in California. Washington is what I like to refer to as the civil state, because there appears to be many personalities in Washington that are giving directions. In Washington, we were told in the beginning, you are not essential, real estate does not matter, shut everything down. And so the MLS went through and they said, You cannot show houses. You cannot list houses. You do not have access to houses. You cannot do anything. And that lasted for about 4 days. And they realized that there were thousands of transactions that were already in process in the pipeline. And they were like, oh crap, we've got people that have moved out of their homes that are waiting to get into their next homes, that don't have homes to live in. We are fucking with people's lives. And so 3 days ago, they came out and they were like, oh, our bad, sorry. You can finish up any transactions that you have right now. You can get 2 people into a house at a time. You can get furniture out of the houses. They had even said, the state of Washington had said that movers how to operate. Both California and Oregon both said movers were essential and had to operate, because they realized that you might have people that are vulnerable, that need to move, that are in the process of moving, that not everybody had planned for a pandemic, you know?
Yeah.
And so the state of Washington then said, oh, sorry, movers are now essential. And then they came to us and actually wrote us a letter and said, if you are destaging a house, if you're getting furniture out of the way, you are a mover, you are essential, you have to do your job. And so we were told we had to do our job. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then like literally less than 24 hours later, I think it was like 2 days ago at noon, they put out another edict and they said that real estate and home staging and photography were all essential, but there could be no more than 2 people on a job site at a time.
Right.
And what that has done, it has caused chaos with people's morality centers. And they're like, I'm told I'm not essential. I'm told I'm important. I should stay home. I should do my part. And so they stayed at home. And then all of a sudden, the state came in and like ripped that reality out of people's brains. And they were like, you are essential now. You have to operate. You have to do this. And what we've seen is that we have real estate agents and home stagers and photographers that are vacillating back and forth. They're like really struggling with this idea.
So what we're seeing is like everything you just described about what's happening in LA, Portland, and Seattle is like the facts. What has happened? What's the information that's been put out? But the larger, more stressful, more controversial conversation is really what we're stuck in every day, and I think a lot of agents are stuck in, and we know that our agent partners that we normally work with are all having these conversations in their offices and with their managing brokers, and it seems every office is kind of setting their own tone for making these decisions. So the one part is what the state is saying, right? For all 3 of these things, but then we all feel, I mean, of course we feel responsible. We feel responsible for our staff. We feel responsible for our clients. We feel responsible for the work we do. And are we making decisions for other people by, moving in with business? Because you and I and other people in our company we get the emails. We see the social media posts and the DMs and the questions. Some people are super pumped that we're open and some people are livid that we're open. And so we're managing all this every day, and we all take this so seriously because of how committed we are to the business and our people and our clients and our staff and like all these things. And we want everyone to be safe. We also want people to continue making a living because not everybody has access to making finances happen during this insane time. So tell me a little bit about I know the information that I've seen, what emails I've answered and things. Tell me a little bit about what your experience is like when you get this kind of feedback one way or the other. What are you weighing in your head to kind of flesh out the more philosophical, ethical, moral kind of decision and principles for yourself?
Yeah. So I belong to an organization, really a bunch of business owners, and we get together. We're not allowed to solicit to each other, so it's not really a networking group. It's more of like an emotional support group, or like a cult, I guess. I don't know. That sounds terrible, but it's not. It's not a cult. But one of the rules of EO is that we don't give each other advice. We are never allowed to say, what you should do is you should do this. Instead, what we are told to do is that we speak from experience. So Kelly comes to me and she's like, oh man, I burnt my tongue on my tea yesterday. And I was like, in my experience, I find that if I put an ice cube into my cup of tea and I wait for a minute or two, it doesn't burn my tongue because I hate it when I burn my tongue. And in that sentence, what I've done is I have not told Kelly what she should do. I have told her what I have experienced in my lifetime that has worked well or not worked well for me. And maybe my experience is, you know what, I burn my tongue all the time and it drives me crazy. And my tongue, I don't even taste anything anymore. So I totally know what you're going through. And maybe it's just me commiserating with her problem. But what I have tried to do during this experience is I've tried to listen and I've tried to speak from experience. Yesterday, I got multiple phone calls from clients and from sellers and from real estate agents and from employees. And I had views on the both sides. When I said, okay, we're allowed to work, I got the response back like, yes, all capitals, 4 explanation points. And I also got back, you know, that's not a moral thing for you to do. You shouldn't be home staging. This is not an essential service. And I tried to listen and I tried to take in the information. And then I had a couple of phone calls from clients. And one of my real estate agents was saying it's really immoral for people to list projects right now. They should just wait. They shouldn't put their houses on the market. And I said, that's a really interesting point of view. And I received a phone call from a client yesterday, and she said, I had a home stager. They had done our instant pricing thing. And so I was just following up with a phone call. And she said, I had a home stager. I was good to go with that home stager. But they were through my real estate agent, and my real estate agent's company was just told, they told all of their employees that they were no longer allowed to list new projects because they felt that it was immoral. And you could hear on the other line, like starting to like well up in tears. And I said, what's going on? And she was like, I don't want to sell my house. I was like, okay. She said, I have to sell my house. I have to move out. I have to get out of here. It's not really my business. It's not my place to ask. We opened in 2008 in the middle of the recession. And at that point, nobody sold their house because they wanted to sell their house. They sold their house because they had to sell their house. And in the beginning, when I first opened the business, I would ask people, just making conversations. So like, where are you going? Where are you moving to? Why are you selling your house? What's your story? Tell me. And I was like trying to like, you know, just like build a rapport or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was getting these stories like, oh, our 8-year-old daughter died of cancer 3 months ago, and my husband and I are getting divorced, and that's why we're selling our house.
Right.
During that process, and you guys will notice that if you ever meet with one of my employees, we never ask why. We never
Right.
ask why are you selling your house,
Yeah.
because it's, first off, it's none of our business. Secondly, it's really personal, and I got to tell you, if you're a listing agent or if you're a home stager and people are hiring you to sell their houses, they're not doing it because they want to. Nobody wants to sell their house right now. Everybody who's out there who's doing this is doing it because they have to. And the way that I look at it, the way that I am telling myself the reason why I'm doing this work is because my clients need me right now. They need me to make this experience easier for them, because everything they're doing right now is difficult. They are taking the one of the 3 most stressful times in our life: death, divorce, and moving. And they're heaping that on top of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
No one does that because it sounds fun. And so I guess my call to myself is to have compassion, to have empathy, and try to understand that not everybody has, you know, a whole bunch of available credit on their credit cards, or a super duper low mortgage, or low rent, or an easy place to live, or a safe place to live. You know, I'm lucky my husband doesn't beat the crap out of me on a nightly basis. You know, I don't have a severe drinking problem. I don't have piles and piles and piles of debt. I am literally what we would call privileged. I'm really privileged to be in the position that I am in, which is very safe going into this. I also had a conversation with an employee yesterday, and my conversations, I was reaching out to each employee and letting them know, like, here's what the rules are. Here's what we've done so far. If I have work for you, do you want to come into work? And one of my employees, everybody's furloughed right now, by the way. And furloughing is great. It's awesome because we can keep people on payroll, and we can keep them in their health insurance, and we can keep them with their benefits, and they can file for unemployment. And my assumption, because I'm so fucking privileged, is that everybody who filed for unemployment was going to be able to get it. And I have an employee who's only been with us for a few weeks. And when he went to go apply for unemployment, his previous employer had never listed him as an employee. And so he was denied for unemployment. And so when I called him up and I said, hey, we've got work for you next week, would you want to come? And he was like, oh my God, I would love to. I can't get unemployment. I don't have any source of income right now. And what I realized is that home staging is stupid. I get it. It does. It's just all you do is make houses pretty, whatever you want to think, that's fine. Opening Spade and Archer for me has never been about making houses pretty. It's been about providing really good creative jobs for really good creative people that have good pay and good benefits. And right now, more than ever, it's my job to provide that. That's what I can do versus I can provide really good jobs with really good benefits for really good people. And if the state is saying that I should be doing it, and I have clients who need the services, and I have employees who need the job, then it is my job to make sure that I provide those services for those people. That's what I'm here to do. And
Yeah.
so the moral dilemma is pretty clear for me. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm sure that most people on such a difficult topic and a difficult question, and this is not a black and white. We are just up to our necks in gray area. And so there are people who want to engage with us and are like, yes, let's do it. Let's move some stuff. Like, let's continue with this listing. Let's move it. And then people are going to problem with that. And there are other people who are like, absolutely not. Everyone should be in their house. No one should be working or doing anything. You're putting people at risk. There's these two very opposite. I would imagine most people are very much in the middle. So let's say someone comes and they're super pumped about working with us. What are we doing? We were doing a lot of all the protocols, social distancing, disinfecting, all the things. We were doing that even when we were still super busy with projects. We were already doing that. Now we can do that in the state of Washington and in Oregon and in LA to our knowledge, our best guess. Yeah. And so what are we doing now for protocols like today? If we were doing an install today, what would those, if someone is looking forward to working with us and does need to list and move forward, what is that going to be like as of today?
Yeah, so we did put those protocols into action quite a while ago. Again, being part of Entrepreneurs Organization, there's a couple of businesses that are in our business that have offices in Asia as well. And so they've been dealing with this for almost 3 months.
Wow.
And we have been meeting with those people and talking with them. And we actually started implementing their procedures into our procedures months ago. And so we've been very lucky in that we've been very, very informed and very much ahead of the ball. One of the things that we've done is that we used to force you to have an in-person meeting with us in order to like shake hands and sell our services and get a price. And what we've done is just done away with that. So now if you go to our website, there's a type form that you put in. It's just called instant pricing. And you type in a couple of bits of information about your job and it sends you a price immediately. So there's zero touch process there. What we've done by doing that is we reduced our consultation numbers by a full 3/4. So we're doing about 25% of the consultations that we used to do because most people are doing that consultation just so they can get a price.
Right.
So reduce those numbers. The next thing we do is that we go and we actually look at the job site. And when you confirm that appointment to go and look at the job site, our COVID-19 protocols is that there cannot be anybody else on the job site. So no real estate agent, no clients, no painters, no contractors, nothing, us there alone by ourselves. And it's to reduce the amount of contact between our people and everybody else,
right,
so that we're keeping everybody else safe and keeping ourselves safe. And then once we go through, we do that visit, draw the floor plans, take photographs, schedule us to do the work, same protocols again, nobody allowed on site except for us. We go in, we immediately Lysol everything down, wipe it all down, all the light switches, all the doorknobs, all the countertops, stage the entire house, put it all back together again, go through, wipe everything down again, and then leave. And so we basically made our process completely touchless. There is no human contact during the process. Right. We were very lucky in that we were developing this instant pricing program.
Yeah.
I don't know what, like 12 weeks before this happened.
Yeah.
I would love to tell you that we were like, oh my God, we're super prepared for COVID. But
innovation 2 days later, nope, that's not what happened.
Yeah. We were living a semi-charmed kind of life and just happened to have this thing in process. And the whole thing launched right when we started being able to start to have to go home. And so
We were so excited to tell everybody about it, and then this terrible thing started happening in the world, and we're like, oh.
yeah. But I think that honestly, it's an extreme benefit in that we are in the situation that we're in. We have zero control over that, and we just
Yeah.
happen to have a tool that makes it a whole lot easier to do this. So that's kind of where we are right now.
So for people who see that we're open and like if we're working with people and we want people to know that we are not operating. If you see us operating, we're not operating as business as normal. I would think that's probably, I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are assuming. It's just like, yeah, we got three guys in a truck and we're moving stuff and we're all like super tight, and no, we're not touching each other's, social distancing, disinfecting everything. They have gloves, they have masks, they're super protected. You know, we're following every single regulation that we know of, even as it changes to the letter. And we're absolutely going to only have two people on a job site if that's what Washington wants right now, and on all those things. So that's if people are going to continue needing our services to move a house, list a house, and get it sold.
Yeah.
For people who absolutely are not operating during this time whatsoever, and that's their choice, great. We appreciate that too. There's nothing about anything that's going on right now that we can say is right or wrong. Like, we have no
Right.
opinion.
Right.
We're just like, we're doing our best job every day. So for people who are absolutely not doing anything right now, but are sitting with clients who want to eventually work together once things improve or whatever the situation changes, what can they do right now to prep? What's your best advice for people who are laying low right now and eventually will have a bunch of projects to list?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the staging part goes, that instant pricing tool is great because you can gather information for your clients. A lot of information gathering that happens with real estate happens in person. When you have a roofer, you have them come out to your house and you meet with them, or a cleaning person, they come out to your house, you meet with them. As far as staging goes, you can get an instant price without a meeting. And so you can start to prepare. You can look at various options. You can do partial staging, full staging guaranteed, full staging, which is pay at a closing, full staging, pay up front. You can look at all your different options and start to figure out what you want your direction to be once you get to that point. So I think at this point, it's all about prep work. It's all about getting ready so that you're the most informed, so that when it comes time for you to list that house, because knock on wood, there will be a time when we don't have COVID-19 to deal with anymore, and we can get houses listed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm certainly open to talking to agents. I know you are talking to agents every day, and other
Yeah.
partners and clients we've had and people that were interested. And so we're definitely interested in people's ideas, feedback, having this conversation, continuing to have this conversation. I think the whole reason that we wanted to talk more about this openly and in like an open forum discussion is because I think that we're making these decisions as an industry, and we're not agents, but we're definitely critical part of the real estate industry, especially for as long as you've been open in Seattle and Portland. Like, we definitely have our ear to the ground with a lot of people that we work with. So, and we're open to discuss these things. So thank you so much for your time. I would love to gather more questions and thoughts from agents, and maybe we can work on getting some more responses from them or to them as well if they have questions.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I always love talking with you, Kelly. And if anybody has any questions, they can most certainly reach out and say howdy.
Alrighty, I'll take care of it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye bye.